Greetings, Gaslanders, and welcome to this, the long-awaited April 2022 Gaslands UK Car of the Month Challenge results. It's been a long time coming. We have got a bit far behind in the amount of video output we have managed to create this year, but don't worry, a saviour is coming. More on that later. We've had a few changes. We've had a few changes in the rules, stricter rules in terms of submissions, and also a change in how we judge the entries. Now, previously, it was down to our sponsor, and sometimes that's caused a few problems with people saying, well, that wasn't my choice, that wasn't what I thought was best, or clearly, are you mad? And that has potentially caused a few issues in the past with people disagreeing. But we have changed the judging rules to a much fairer policy. This time, everybody on the Gaslands UK admin team, that is myself, Benjamin Popp, James Hall, and Colin Harvard, will be picking the winners. Between us, we've probably got about 80 years worth of modelling experience. Both James Hall and Ben Popp have very successful YouTube channels where they showcase their work. If you've not checked out JH Miniatures, you really should. And if you've not checked out BP Creations, you also should. Links to those below. I myself am a multiple Car of the Month winner. I'm also a professional model maker and artist. And Colin Harvard, well, Colin's just old. Colin's been making models for over 30 years. So between the four of us, we are more than qualified, we feel, to judge the builds in a fairer, more technical and understanding way. I hope you agree. We're not getting rid of the sponsors' say, however. We will still have a sponsor's favourite, and in this case, they are picking 2 winners, and we are picking 1. Who is our sponsor for April? It is, of course, Gaslands. Gaslands are the premier dashboards for your games of Gaslands. They are laminated, playing card sized, and they are wiped clean. They are beautifully designed. They come in a whole host of sizes and colours, themed to the individual sponsors in-game, but also large oversized cards as well. They're printed to a very high quality on very good card stock, printed in the United States, as far as I am aware. And they are the brainchild of Adam Fold. And our sponsor is offering 3 prizes this month. A first, a second, and a third place. And they are all those oversized Gaslands cards, which are excellent. They are very good. I've got some in my collection at home, and they are always useful whenever I play a game of Gaslands. Okay, let's wheel out the camper van of curiosity, and let's have a look. Run VT. This month, the theme is jet-powered vehicles. Now, there's nothing more exhilarating than seeing 20-foot of flames fly out the back of your high-speed vehicle. So really, all it does is beg the question, are you going to go traditional? Are you going to go for a sports car? A sports drag racer? You're going to go for a long-nosed drag racer like these ones? Or are you going to go for something completely different? Either way, we're looking forward to seeing what high-speed monsters you can create this month. Who's taking part? Let's get on with the roll call. Adam Pollard, Andy Horton, Arise Lightspear, Austin Brown, Bart Van Shake, Braden WACHTEL, Caleb Hines, Dan White, David BOUSSET, Graham HENDRY, Hardo Pierce, Ingvar Knipson, James Hall, Keith McAvoy, Kev Williams, Kilgore MJ, Korri O'Corgan, Matt Andrews, Matt Taylor, Matthew Morrill, Michael Dunmire, Molinaro Dominique, Richard Hubbard, Tiago Maya, Tony Peacock, and Zach Steiner. And to help in the catching up, because we've lagged behind, which is quite ironic considering we're doing drag races, ultra-fast speedsters this month, I have brought in our old friend James Hall. You know he knows what he's talking about. It's going to be slightly different. He's actually going to take a handful of entries and pick them apart a little bit more than I've been doing. He's going to tell you where you're going right. He's going to tell you where you're where you're getting it wrong, and hopefully offer you some tips and tricks to help up your game. So, without further ado, here we go, over to James.
Yes, welcome back, brothers. It is I, your Lord and Master, returned to save you all. So let's have a look at some of the fantastic jet-powered dragsters that we saw finished in April's competition. And I would like to note, all correctly photographed and submitted on a plain white or plain black background. Boys and girls, this is very simple. I'm staggered so many of you couldn't figure it out. Plain white or plain black. Nothing else in the photo except the car. Come on now. We don't want to exclude you, we have to exclude you. One rule for everyone, doesn't matter how good you are. But let's start with someone who did follow the rules and submitted a fantastic jet-powered drag racer. That's right, we're looking at Zach Steiner's entry, the Girl Gang Red Angel. So this is a very nice, very simple build made out of what looks like I want to say like an old Transformer toy, but a little sort of bomber jet engines off the bomber plane there on a Hot Wheels drag racer. And if you imagine a stereotypical drag racer, this is what it looks like. You know, it's that very narrow, very sleek body that would weigh nothing, would be made out of like the thinnest metal, with big chunky tyres at the back, big bulky jet engines, and teeny tiny little tyres at the front. Very nice. However, Zach, you break my heart. This red and black patterning. I know that's custom because that's not what the base car looks like. So I dig the red. The red is very good, and I even dig the little patches of rust that you've worked in there. But those black lines need straightening out. You need to get some tape on there. You need to make those lines crisper. I get what you're going for. It's like I love the little decals, like the little angel and the Girl Gang logo on there. They work. They're nice touches, especially with that kind of punk aesthetic with like the cutout text. Very tie-dye. I like it. However, it's just fine-tuning the painting. Like that driver model's just crying out for like a wash or something over the face. It's so plain. But no, overall, it's solid. As I say, this is the stereotypical image of a jet-powered dragster that we would have in our minds. Maybe with a big, like, air scoop or something on top. Maybe like a big foil to hold it down to the ground. It's just fine-tuning it. Take a bit more time to clean up those areas. You can do it. I know you can do it. But very good. Thank you for that, Zach Steiner. So the next one I want to look at is by your friend and mine, BRADEN WACHTEL, with his nice big chunky Cadillac that he's stretched out, thinned down, and turned into this muscular beast with Firestone tyres. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. The pink is nice as well, and the patches of rust do work. I wish I could see the headlights on the front, but I know that they're obscured. It's just one of those personal preference things. I just feel, because it's a very solid monotone build, maybe if there was a third colour, because you've got the black, you've got the pink, you've got the silvers, and there's a little bit of rust, but just like an extra body colour, like a streak of white, or not red, maybe like a streak of of just really contrasting colour, like green or something that would just really stand out. But like a strong green, like a neon green. No, very nicely done, BRADEN WACHTEL. Very cool. Then we have this fantastic entry by Matthew Morrill. Oh yes, this one catches your eye, doesn't it, boys and girls? It's not too often you see someone using a big digger scoop as both a foil to hold the vehicle down when it's going super fast, but then also as an emergency stop mechanism when the chain gets released and it just slams into the ground. That's fairly inspired. I mean, overall, it's a very wasteland build, isn't it? There's no doubt that this has come from the apocalypse. Like I know with some of the others, you could sort of throw a jet engine onto a drag racer, put some spikes on it, and call it a wasteland build. No, this was made in the wasteland. This is 100% something they cobbled together out of what they had lying around, and I like it. I think that's one of its major strengths. Overall, it is a solid job. I can see where you've drilled like these little holes in the side of it to look like bullet holes. Just put a little wash or something just to darken the centres of those, just because they're so bright at the moment. They do stand out a bit. But no, very nicely done, Matt Morrill. I am glad to see you taking part. I have been hounding you to enter this competition for a while now. It is good to see you here, brother. Now, here's one that I know I'm going to mispronounce the name of. We have Diego Maya, whatever it is. Diago. Oh, my friend, what a build. I mean, when you say jet-powered dragster, I mean, there's no arguing that that's what this is there? I mean, you can clearly see the enormous shark fin on top is overpowering, isn't it? That is a big piece of metal on this build, but you know, it's there for a purpose. I mean, when you see like the cockpit open up and you see the little driver sticking their head out, it makes a bit more sense, but the other 90% of the time, it could have been streamlined a bit. Because the thing is, you've got the body of that car there, sort of forming the central structure of this build, but it's just the fine tuning. It's just the polishing. I do enjoy the photos of the very strong lamp, kind of giving the illusion of fire coming out the back of the jet engine. But one thing I would say is, it would be nice to see the other side of the car. Of the pictures you've submitted, they're all of the front left and rear left 3/4. There's nothing of the right hand side of the vehicle. I suppose you could argue that it just looks the same, but no, very nicely done, very very clean. I love the use of all the rusty metals, all the sharp edges, because that is very wasteland. It's very easy to get hung up on making these things look clean and professional when it should still be a wasteland vehicle. Then we have Graham Hendry's entry. Again, there is no arguing that this is a jet-powered dragster. You see it, you understand it, it makes sense, right then and there. Jet engine, stripped-down body, machine guns up front, guy in a very cultist-looking hazmat suit. And I gotta say, this is something that can get lost sometimes when you look at these builds, but the image on the back, in between the two sort of exhaust sections, that sort of clown-like face, or maybe it's a skull face, and then what is it? It says War Boys on it. It's really nicely done, but you just don't see it for the other 90% of the build. You'd have no idea that that's there unless you ever looked at it from behind. So I don't know, maybe if that was put on top or along the side, maybe. I don't know. Because it's an interesting choice to have that back. Wouldn't it be scorched by the exhaust, by the fire coming out of the back of this thing? I will say, and this applies to some of those previous ones as well, boys and girls, those are some basic tyres, okay? I love you, but you look at those tyres, you know it's a Hot Wheels toy car, alright? Let's get some hubcaps on there. Let's see some chains wrapped around them. Let's see some spikes or some texture or something. I love you, but come on now. This is a competition, boys and girls, winning for cash money. Okay, big prizes. Change the tyres. But yeah, no, it's such a simple build. I love it, Graham. Very nicely done. Very cleanly executed. And then let's have a look at Corey O'Corgan, who can I just say, initially got us all a little bit weak around the knees with that shot of the Corvette on the tape roll. I wonder what that image is evoking. I can't possibly imagine. But then you see what he's built, and my goodness, what a monster. That engine is something to be seen to be believed, isn't it? I mean, you'd do some damage with that, wouldn't you? Although, I will say, the spikes, the colour scheme, very Death Race 2000. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think what this needs, however, and you start seeing this sometimes when the dry brushing gets a bit too thick and the wash is a bit too centralised, it's got a kind of dusty pastel feel to it. And it needs a little bit of work. It needs a little bit of fine tuning. Like that chain, I know you've painted that chain. I can see you've painted that chain, but it's just one flat tone of silver. If you put a black wash on that chain and then go over it with like a lighter, finer silver and just scratch at it with the paintbrush, not a dry brush, not a thick layer, but just like little lines here and there all across the different lengths, it would make it feel just a little bit realer rather than the sort of bright silver that it is right now. And that kind of applies to the different parts of the body, because you've got this wonderful patterning on there that blends in with the spikes, but they're very sort of dry looking. There's no shadow, there's no depth to them. You get a shade wash on there, but then combine that with a bit more line work to accentuate it, and it just really take it to the next level. You can see what I mean if you look at like the door frame there and the sort of the hinge and seal just along the passenger side door. The actual line that would go around the passenger side door is just lost. It's just completely lost, and it's where the wash needs to be brought back in. The shadows need to be brought back in. But this applies to the flat sections as well. I know white can be so hard to put a tone on, but those metal sections and those red sections could have had a wash. Not a black wash necessarily, maybe like a brown wash or something, and just a little bit of highlighting work, just something to break up the solid silver. And then, I'm going to address it, KORRI, because I love you and I want you to continue to move and improve and keep entering. But what is going on with that yellow glow effect to the back? It's just yellow paint. You've not done any actual glowing effect or tone. That is just yellow slapped on there. Get some whites, get some darker colours, make it look blackened where the flames come out, or whatever kind of energy is coming out the back. Oh no, it's jet powered, so it should be like flame. Because right now it's just a big yellow light bulb that's coming out the back of the vehicle. It just needs it improving. It just needs that extra time. And I know that's difficult when it's a monthly competition, but get some white paint, mix it in with the yellow, get those lighter shades where it would be at its hottest, at its brightest at the core, and then around it gets darker and more orange, and then blackened where the soot and the burn kind of texture comes from the flame. But very nice. And look at those tyres, some fine spiky knobbly bobbly tyres, love it. And then we have Matt Taylor's entry. Now, this one, boys and girls, I'm sure has you all stunned that I'm talking about this and not, say, Molinaro Dominique. And that is because I want to help you guys. I want to give you guidance. This isn't just about going, look how pretty the cars are, fantastic, moving on to the next pretty car. No, this is about going, look at this person. He entered this competition. He finished it by the deadline. He submitted his photos correctly on a plain white or plain black background. Let us celebrate his entry. And you know what, Matt Taylor, you have done a good solid entry. You got a lot of heart. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of advanced stuff that you're trying to do, like the hazard stripe pattern on the cabling, or the sort of various body colour, what could be speed stripes or maybe flame effects. I've no idea. But this is the thing. There's a lot that you're trying to do, but you need to fine tune it. Master each technique, one at a time. A black wash does not solve every problem. And you know what? You look at the brown on those tyres, and there's nothing wrong with that brown, but that doesn't scream going across an apocalyptic desert. That says screaming across a very muddy bog of a wasteland, like Wales. You got to get the beige, you got to get the sand, you got to do some dry brushing. You can put the base colours in, but then it's fine-tuning it. Like, I love the wires and things that you've got going on that scratch-built jet engine. That is a cool build, But the reason why it looks so busy is because you've tried to paint in all of these areas of detail, and it's not quite hitting the mark because they're rough. And they're rough because what you're trying to do is very hard. You're trying to paint symmetrical straight lines when realistically, if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. You know, that's hard for the most talented of us. And I'm not talking about the hazard stripes. I'm talking about what looks like that sort of central bottle cap section where you've got black stripes and then you've got black and white alternating. That is where the technique doesn't work. The hazard stripe on the cabling, it's rough, but it does work. But this other section, this is what's holding you back. But this is a learning process. From doing this, from achieving this, your next build will be better, and the build after that will be better, and it will just continue to snowball so long as you're continuing to push yourself. It's like a lot of people might have zipped straight past Matt's build, and it's a shame because for a lot of us, this is where we'll start out. I mean, look at his work in progress. That doesn't look too dissimilar to a lot of our builds. I'm not sure what on earth happened with the front machine gun, however, because that 3D printed machine gun looks 1,000 times better than the zip tie contraption you stuck on there. So you'll have to explain that one to me. But the engine, the pilot, the bodywork, using Barclay cards, which I love a good scratch build. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's just taking it to the next level. I mean, you look at the jet engine effect. You're doing what KORRI should have been doing. You're getting that lovely differentiation between the heat, between the tones, from the yellows to the oranges to the dark reds. You get a little bit of black towards the very tip of the exhaust spark, and it would look even better. But you know, that looks a damn sight better than just a solid blob of yellow on there. But then it's just the fine tuning. As I say, dry brushing some sandy beige colours onto those wheels on the underside of the vehicle. It is a good build. It just needs a little bit more time. But that comes with practice. So you know what? Credit to you, Matt Taylor. A fine entry. Absolutely fine entry. On to Adam Pollard, and I know everyone was going all weak-kneed over this Alvaro Martin concept for the CRX SI Laser R, but this is the thing. Execution, inspiration. Man, you're breaking my heart with these photographs because they're too up close and the camera's not capturing the detail. Like some of these photos I can see clearly. Some of them I need to be zoomed out to be able to appreciate them, and that's where it's not working. I get that you enjoy photoshopping it to make it mimic the art, but we do not judge based on photoshopped work. We judge based on what you send us on a plain white or plain black background with nothing else. It is nice. I do like the touches that you've thrown in there that match it so closely to that concept art. Like the stylized, it's almost like a Kodak camera kind of style, 80s, very 80s looking patterning on the doors. But let this be a lesson in photography. You need to not zoom in or whatever it is you're doing. Your camera is too close and it's blurring out the detail. Further away so we can see what's going on. Because it is a solid build. I just want to be able to appreciate it without it pixelating or blurring or artifacting or whatever the hell's going on. Right, on to Bart van Schaik's entry. My partner absolutely loves this build, I gotta say. She went over the moon. She's like, oh, look at the little mushrooms on the side of it. And the little face, the weird little demon face with the little machine gun poking out the top between his horns. It's a wonderful take on that classic Hot Wheels buggy base. And I like the fact that you sort of modified the front of it so that you could see some of the bodywork underneath. Personally, going for like a jet engine stripped down feel, I would have removed more of that bodywork because I know the frame underneath is very cool. However, jet powered, it's got the foil on the back. It looks good. It looks good. I might have stretched out the proportions a bit more, made it fit into that more aesthetic kind of drag racer look, but you know what? It's like a jet-powered buggy. What a work of art. Love it. Absolutely love it. And then finally we have Ingvar Nielsen. I knew I had to talk about this one. So what a foil, what a design, what an execution. Monster truck wheels in the front, itty bitty little wheels at the back, holding up an enormous barrel of fuel, going straight into those two custom-made jet engines, which I love because it looks like there's a lot of electronics that have gone into this, with like the headlights and the little jet exhausts at the back, which you can only see in 2 photos maybe, and even then I'm not 100% that there's a light in those. It's just how the photos look. One of the things I do like about this is the fact that you've got that great big void behind the driver's seat, because at the end of the day this is about speed in a straight line, and you don't really need to worry too much about the back and sides if you've got this great big wedge shape of vehicle at the front to just break through the air. Yeah, have a big hole, it doesn't matter. All that back there is just propulsion for the front, and the front is just going to roll right over the top of you. Love it, absolutely love it. And the foil, what a lovely, well executed foil. That's better than the one I made. I can't for life of me figure out where the tractor bits have come into it, but I'm sure they're there somewhere or other. But overall it is a solid kit bash of all these wonderful different little parts. So no, nicely done, Ingvar. And as a special added bonus, because of course, how could we pass by this one? Let's have a look at James Hall's entry. Yes, that's right, I'm going to have a look at my own entry, and what a magnificent one it is. Clearly this one will win, because this one is the best. I think this month's theme really had me stumped. I knew in my mind what I wanted to make. I wanted to make that stereotypical dragster image, very long, thin, narrow body, teeny tiny little, almost like bicycle wheels at the front, with these enormous, monstrous wheels at the back, an enormous foil, enormous jet engine, and it just wasn't happening. I tried making a jet engine multiple times. I just couldn't get the look to look right. It just wasn't gelling. And in the end, I was going to a friend's wedding at Easter, and I had 4 spark plugs in my car. My real life car just went. They just completely burnt out. So I had to get those replaced. And the jet engine on this, the body of this, is from a spark plug, because I figure, you know what, if that if that's not fitting, I don't know what is. And it was a solid thing to build up from, to be fair. The jet engine actual aspect, I feel, works well. I think I dirtied it a bit too much at the back, because when you look at that rear shot photo, it's just greyed out. It's hard to really see the definition between things. But again, super speedy build. Did it in, what, 6 days? 5-6 days? So it's one of them. And that is it from this segment. So I will hand you back to the tender, loving mercies of Matt Reeve.
Marvellous. Thanks very much, James, for doing that. As I've said before, if your vehicle was not featured this week, please don't be disparaged. It doesn't mean we don't like it. There are too many to talk about every single one. And please do keep trying. Maybe next month yours will be featured. All right. We need to find out who's won, don't we? We need to find out who's won. So the first place prize, as chosen and voted for by the Gaslands UK admin team of master builders, is, drumroll please, David BOUSSET! Well done, David. Well done. This was a very well-deserved win. This was an incredibly high standard of build. This Volkswagen camper van, with its massive jet engine strapped to the back, is such a terrific entry. We were all completely blown away by the level of detail, the design, the paint job, the whole concept. It's just glorious. And then, far out, man, pretty far out, the piece de résistance is the use of these LEDs in the back to create this jet boost effect. The smiley face on the front is a beautiful little touch. The cream and green paint scheme with the blue jets. Oh, just perfect. Perfection. We were really, really pleased with this one. So, well done, David. you will have a set of Dashlands winging their way to you very, very soon. Who's second place? Who do you think? Who could be second place? It is Arise Lightspear! Our Indonesian entrant, Arise Lightspear. And what another fantastic job he has done. I love this pickup truck, stretched pickup truck, the metallic sheen on the jet engines, the hand sculpted figurine, the little details, the graphics, the cyberpunk front to it, so many scratch built parts, fantastic work as ever. Congratulations. And in third place, who could it be? It is Matthew Morrill. Well done, Matthew. Well done. This was another lovely little model. Our sponsor picked this as one of his favourites because of that digger on the back. He thought that was genius. He really liked that as a touch, as a brake to slow your vehicle down. It's just going to stick this massive scoop into the dirt and the dust. And Dust Devil is its name, and you can imagine why, because clunking that into the ground is going to kick up huge clouds. I think we've got some Sable Badger weapons 3D printed on the front there. Really nasty, grungy, dirty paint scheme, and a really clever mashup of a Formula 1 vehicle and a pickup truck. Well done, Matthew. Well, that's it. Thank you, my friends. Thank you for your patience. There's a shake-up coming. But moving forward, I'm passing the baton back to James Hall. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for the last 10 months. It's been a blast. I've enjoyed doing it. Thank you to all of those who bought me a coffee during this time. I'm very grateful to you. Thank you to everybody who bought merchandise during this time. I'm also very grateful to you. For the last time, goodbye, Wasteland.